Let's go out to Atlanta. Tracey Walker, what do you got for us?
Good afternoon and happy Friday. I'm excited for the promotion and I'm already thinking about how I can, put this out to the organization and get folks rolling in the next 13 days, next 12 days. But I wanted to talk a little bit about something that Dr. Ryan actually mentioned earlier when he was talking, and that was about setting resolutions, right? So here's a powerful opinion that I have, okay? Stop setting these goals, i.e., New Year's resolutions, right, in the way that we normally do them. And the reason is because there was a study that was done that revealed that it takes the average person a decade to even achieve the New Year's Eve resolution. So it's a fallacy from the standpoint of even doing it, right? You feel good, fantastic, right? You feel like you're making commitment, but it's not effective, all right? It's not effective. So the opinion is stop setting those types of goals. And let me give you a story of what I mean. I'm going to give you what you should be doing instead. Last season, you guys know my son plays travel baseball, right? He plays 10U, and he's good. But he had this goal last season to hit an out of the park home run, right? He's 9. Now they probably have about two kids that have done that, like out of the whole travel league, right? So his goal was to get an out of the park home run. Now, needless to say, he would go to every game. He's batting over 300. He's doing really, really well, right? He has tons of stolen bases. He's got tons of RBIs, right? He's got plenty of plays. He's pitched. He's gotten tons of kids out. And ironically, his focus every time, no matter how well he did, was that he didn't get the out of the park home run. And he was overlooking all the other amazing, wonderful things that he had done in the games. And so this season, or in the off season, as we're preparing for next season, I started thinking when he was going to his hitting coach and things like that, I said, you know what? Being that your mother is a personal development person, I said, let's try this. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the goal, right? We know that you want to do it, but let's just get rid of it in our minds, right? Instead, let's focus on the minimum standard. The minimum standard. In other words, what are you going to focus on in every game as a minimum that you are going to do? Now, before we get to the game, we're in off season. So when you're in the batting cage with your hitting coach, what is the minimum standard that you're going to focus on? And so what we agreed on was he was going to focus on a minimum of 10 power hits that his coach approves, right? Fundamentally sound 10 power hits, all right, in the cage. If you hit 10 fundamentally sound power hits, that would be your minimum standard. That's the least that you're going to do. But at 9 years old, over time, hitting 10 fundamentally sound power hits that his coach is approving before he leaves out of the batting cage, when he walks onto the field, that is going to translate in game to more power hits in addition to what he's already doing. So if he goes up to the plate and his goal now is every time I get to the plate, I'm going to have a fundamentally sound power hit. If he continues to do that with strength training, to size like 65 pounds, right? Some of those boys are like 100 pounds, right? At 9 and 10. So he's a whole feather of 65. Listen, you build up weight, you get more power, and you're fundamentally sound with your hits. You will hit out of the park home runs. It's just naturally going to happen. You don't have to even focus on that. Just focus on the minimum standard. So that is what I'm going to recommend to our Live Good family. So what does that look like for you in your business? Well, number one, with your marketing, you want to start tracking, right? You want to start tracking. And what are you tracking? Well, your minimum standard. What is going to be your minimum standard every day when you go out there and you focus on your Live Good business? So let me give you some examples of some things that you could track. I mean, you really should be tracking all of them, but here you go. How many people did you share Live Good with today? Track that. Right? And you should have a minimum standard for that. I'm going to speak to 3 people a day. I'm going to speak to 10 people a day. I'm going to speak to 20 people a day. What that means that it's not a goal. A goal is like, oh man, I didn't hit it. Like you're reaching up. The minimum is like, that's the bare minimum. That means you don't sleep until you speak to the 10. That's the minimum. You can't, right? You have to be, as I've shared with you guys before, you have to be impeccable with your word. Where's my book? Yeah, it's the book. You have to be impeccable with your word. You cannot say you're going to do something and then you don't do it. And if you can't honor that for yourself, why would other people sign up with someone who has no integrity with their own selves, right? So how many people you talk to could be a minimum standard? How many people actually watched the video or actually got on the Zoom or actually pre-enrolled, right? You have to track that. Some of you guys are just randomly doing things. And I know it's a simple business, but there's no business. Ben can't tell us how many people are hitting bronze if he's not tracking it. Do you guys understand that? Like, you have to track this stuff. He can't be the CEO of a business and he's not tracking in coordination with Ryan what the inventory is like for the men's multivitamin. There's an inventory tracking system. Like, come on. So you have to track in your business too, whether you do it manually, whether you find tools and systems or automation to do it. It just needs to be part of your initiative to do it. A third thing could be, how many signups, enrollments did you get? What's the minimum standard? Maybe it's going to be, I'm going to enroll one new person a day. For some of you guys are rock stars, maybe 2 or 3 people a day. With this new promotion, I mean, you might want to consider a strong but a healthy standard that you're going to commit to, meaning you don't go to sleep until it's done. And some of you guys, I don't know if you're ready for that level of success, but that's the commitment to your minimum standard, okay? And then the last thing that I want you to do with that is I want you to go back after you set your minimum standard and then set the goal. And then set the goal. Now, let me give you a numerical way to do this. Your goal should always be 30 to 50% higher than your standard.
I like that.
30 to 50% higher than the standard. So here's an example. If you want to go out and you say, hey, I want to sign up 2 new people a day, that's your minimum standard. That means you're going to do that. You have to do that. Your goal should be 30 to 50% higher, which means, okay, 2.6 people to 3 people a day would be the goal. But at the minimum, you have to do 2. You guys get what I'm saying? You can't do 2.6 people. Mathematically, it's that, but it's 3 people there. That would be the goal. Okay. So you have to decide what the minimum standard is and then make the goal after that, which means that at least you're going to do this, but you're still going to push for this. So in closing, I'm going to encourage everyone to remember that when you hit the minimum standard, you actually create confidence. Now, when you have that confidence and you do it more, you become competent. You become competent. Some people are just not competent in what we're doing in Live Good because you're just not doing it enough, right? Reading it over and over doesn't make you competent. It's the execution of the thing that makes you more competent. Like, Josiah can't read about hitting a baseball. You can't read about swimming in a pool. You have to actually get in the pool. You have to get in the batting cage. You have to feel what it's like to hit the ball, to miss the ball, to hit the ball, you know, to the catcher, or to hit the ball to the pitcher and you're out. Like, you have to feel these things, not read about it all the time. So you have to get in the game. So that's going to help you to be more competent. And then lastly, you also become more courageous to do what? Take it to the next level. Because once you're competent at getting 1 new sign up a day, 2 new signups a day, it's now you can take this promotion and say, oh shoot, let me turn it up. I'm going to go for 5 new people a day. But you have courage to do that because you have a minimum standard by which you know you have a goal that you're looking to get. So in closing, as Tony Robbins says, set a new standard. All right. Set a new standard. Back over to you, Ben.